Hello, hello, good morning. Welcome to TJ Speaks. I am your host, TJ, and we have a wonderful, um, you know, excuse me, it's in the morning. We have a wonderful show for you today. Okay, we're going to get into it. This show is for intellectual people, intellectual Americans. We have to get our country back. We have to, tighten up this ship. This ship is going off course, and we need to tighten this up. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into it. Today's title: I talk about the black vote. Why the black vote doesn't benefit them. This is a question that comes up a lot in the community. It comes up a lot in political pundits, um, on television and on podcasts, and it got me to thinking. So I had to go to work. I had to think about what is going on. I'm also a Black American, and I couldn't for the longest. I couldn't understand why our vote did not matter. Like, no matter how many times we line up and vote, we never can get our congressional representatives to do anything for us. But now I have the solution. And the solution was right in front of my face the whole entire time. And that is the political parties, mostly the Democrat Party. What they have been doing is that they have every 10 years we have a United States Census. And every 10 years, what they have noticed after 1965, when blacks won their civil rights, after the Civil Rights Act, the Democrats immediately ran to this immigration bill. And their goal was to increase the number of immigrants just walking around the country without any increased enforcement. And none of it really made sense why they immediately responded to the Civil Rights Act of 1965 with the increase of immigrants in the Immigration Bill of 1965. All right, so you have to, all of these things are strange. Okay, so now fast forward to today. Um, in recent times, in the year 2020, President Trump attempted to make sure that the citizens were getting properly represented in Congress. So he noticed that the citizenship question was not on the US Census. And so his administration attempted to add that citizenship question because, as we all know, President Trump is no fan of the illegal immigrants and he's not a fan of law breaking. He believes in upholding the law, um, and that was it. And so when he proposed that, as a regular person, a citizen, I noticed that a lot of Democrats were very upset at President Trump adding the citizenship question to the census, and that never made sense to me because aren't we supposed to count the citizens? Who else is being counted on the census if not the citizens? So I remember, and I had a flashback to when I was in high school, and junior high school time, when my in social studies class, my teacher would mention about the census and how that affects the number of Congress representatives, and the electoral college, how that gets divided based on the census, and the census count the citizen population of the United States. So, so before I go any further, I want you guys to listen to the Democrat Party AOC response to President Trump, wanting and adding the citizenship question to the U.S. Census. Now, before we get into that video, just before, I want you to know that the reason why the Democrats will never deport the illegal immigrants in America is because the Democrats have been counting the illegal immigrants and non citizens on the US Census. And when they do that, they make them a part of the constituency that receives congressional representation. And if they cannot do that, then their vote, that is their constituency. Their power, their political power is done for. So, and we know that's illegal to add non-citizens to the United States Census, uh, permanent residents, non-citizens to the U.S. Census. All right, so we're going to get into the video. I'm going to play, or not the video, the audio for Miss AOC. Going to pull that up for you guys to listen to her speak. And now that you all know that they are counting illegal immigrants in the U.S. Census in order to collect congressional seats, extra congressional seats in Congress, you're going, everything that she's about to say is going to make sense. And you also going to watch out and listen out for her. She's very careful with her words. She doesn't want to admit criminality that they're adding non-citizens to the census, but she also does not advocate for citizens. Listen to Miss AOC. Okay, here we go.
Moving forward requires knowing what's on the road ahead. As energy demand continues to rise,
One second, guys. Have a slight technical issue.
The battle against President Trump and House Democrats continues to escalate.
Go.
The Trump administration is using executive privilege to prevent Congress from getting a hold of crucial documents on a decision to add a citizenship question to the 2020 census. This comes as the House Oversight Committee gears up for a major vote about whether to hold Attorney General William Barr and Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross in contempt for failing to cooperate with subpoenas. Documents acquired by the New York Times reveal the question was designed to benefit Republicans by alienating non-white communities. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez slammed the Trump administration by and for bypassing the normal process for changing the census.
it is one of the most vital and sensitive things that we do in our government. Any change to the census, any addition of a question, usually takes 5 years of a process to make sure that it is vetted, that every word has been tested, to make sure that it is effective, because it is one of the most important things that we do. So it's not that I want to, this is not about whether or not I want to know who is a citizen in the United States or not. What I want to know is why this question was added, why 2 years have been shaved off of that 5-year process. I want to know why we have skipped every normal mandated procedure in testing how this question gets added in the census. I want to know.
The House Oversight Committee will hold their contempt vote at about 4 p.m. Eastern. Chairman Elijah Cummings.
The AOC is interested on why the process was skipped when it comes to adding a question to the census, but she's not questioning why the illegal immigrants skipped the whole entire immigration law. Okay, let me see. This audio is very good. We're going to continue to listen.
As he wants to give lawmakers time to read the executive privilege letter from the Department of Justice.
Okay.
President Trump, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Here we go. So that's just one of the audios. So in that audio, you listen to AOC. Now, it's very interesting. AOC is speaking so passionately. And listen, I'm going to cut straight to the chase. AOC is so passionate about fighting against that citizenship question because her constituents in her so-called district, they're not American citizens. She owes her seat to illegal immigrant population. When the Democrat Party counted the illegal immigrants in New York City, they acquired additional congressional seats, one of those additional seats went to AOC. She knows exactly why she doesn't want that citizenship question on the census, because her seat will be gone. Her constituents are not American citizens, and she doesn't deserve that congressional seat, and she knows it. She knows that her seat is dependent on the illegal immigrant population, which is completely wrong to the American citizens and is cheating the American citizens out of their proper representation. That's what's happening in America. Okay? And so we have to pay attention. Also, I want to give you some more evidence that we are on the right track here at TJ Speaks. We are alert, we are aware, and we're paying attention. Here is I'm gonna have another video. Here we go. Of another audio. Excuse me, I keep saying video. Another audio of the Democrats fighting President Trump against adding the citizenship question on the census because this is extremely important, folks. The census is the next battle. 2030 census. That is where our battle begins. Okay, let's go.
Arguments Tuesday. There.
1 second, folks. I hate when it does that. Here we go. Try this again.
Supreme Court began hearing oral arguments Tuesday about the Trump administration's plan to add a question about citizenship on the upcoming census. CBS News' Nicole Killian recaps day one.
Protesters gathered outside the Supreme Court as justices heard 80 minutes of arguments about the Trump administration's plan to add a citizenship question on the 2020 census. U.S. Solicitor General Noel Francisco argued for the government. He said it's reasonable for the question to be included during an exchange with Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Sotomayor said it's not been a part of the survey, which is where he reinstated it since 1950. Francisco responded, the secretary acted well within his discretion when he determined that reinstating the citizenship question would provide the best evidence of citizenship.
Exactly.
Challengers say the question could lead to millions of people not responding to the census, and that could affect how federal money is allocated and how many representatives each state gets in Congress.
So the census is the basic statistical backbone of everything that we do as a country, and we can't afford to get it wrong.
The ACLU's Dale Ho argued for the defendants.
It might not seem like a big thing to you and me, but a lot of people are concerned, and particularly with this administration, that giving out that information could be used against them.
Supporters of the government claim that won't happen.
Well, it doesn't ask you whether you're in the country legally or illegally. It simply asks, are you a U.S. citizen?
The High Court is expected to issue a ruling in June. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the Supreme Court. Let's bring in CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford. She is in Washington. Hi, Jan. So what are the legal questions justices are considering here?
Well, I thought Nicole really did a great job in kind of outlining a lot of the issues that are at stake. I mean, essentially, it goes to the question of authority. And does Wilbur Ross have kind of the discretion to add this question to the census, or was it so arbitrary and unreasonable? But then there's
You have to ask yourself, why are they fighting against adding the citizenship question to the U.S. Census? Why did they take this all the way to the Supreme Court? Now, why is only the Democrat Party fighting that? Because they know, like I know, that they have been counting illegal immigrants in order to collect congressional seats and have congressional power. And they are representing not the U.S. citizens, they are representing illegal immigrants when they do that. When you allow illegal immigrants to be counted on the U.S. Census, you are giving them congressional representation. And that is why your Congress, if their constituents are illegal immigrants, they have zero motivation to deport them because their job depends on them being here. So that's why this is fundamentally and unconstitutionally an action. This is wrong. They're cheating the American people out of their voice and their representation in Congress. So it's stunning how many Americans are not paying attention to this very small but very important detail.
another question about whether or not, as the Constitution requires, you have to have this enumeration of all our citizens, and if that is going to somehow compromise that, because so many people will be reluctant, they argue.
Why would asking citizens whether or not to document their citizenship, why would that compromise citizens? Now, this this chick doesn't make no damn sense. But then she's not going to admit that they have been illegally counting illegal immigrants. So she's going to dance around that fact that they are concerned about the illegal immigrants filling out the census, not the citizens. Continue.
The argument against the question goes to return the census, so we won't get an accurate count of actually the people in the United States as the Constitution says we need.
She went from talking about citizens to talking about people. There's a big difference between citizens and people. Illegal immigrants are people. That's why they advocate for people to be counted and not citizens, because this whole illegal immigration operation is benefiting the Democrat Party and shortchanging the American citizens.
And so then how are justices approaching this case? Do you see the justices approaching it from different directions?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, throughout the arguments today, it was a very clear, ideological split. You had the 5 conservative justices on the one hand saying, we don't really see the problem with this question being in the census. And then you have the 4 liberal justices, as Nicole pointed out, led by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, saying, oh, let me tell you what, there is a big problem with it. And the point that the liberals were making was that Secretary Ross was really doing something else when he put that question in the census. That it wasn't that he just wanted to get the number of citizens, because there's modeling and statistical analysis that could be done for that. But he was actually trying to kind of put his finger on the scales, a thumb on the scales. And as Dale Cohen told Nicole, if the number of people who return these forms is suppressed, then that means fewer people are counted. And if fewer people are counted, whether it's in a state or in a locality, that's going to affect the number of house seats that you have. Those are, of course, allocated by population. The amount of money that goes to roads and schools, federal funding, again, allocated based on population. So accurate numbers, very important. Depressed numbers, because people are afraid to turn their forms back in, could have a big implication on money. And that's really the bottom line.
Right, by some estimates, you could...
I'm glad she said that. Now you heard it from this lady first. You heard this attorney say, oh, we won't get as many house seats based on population, citizen population, right? But she said the word population, she wanted to be vague about the population she's talking about, because they have been collecting federal dollars from your tax dollars, my tax dollars, to fund these sanctuary cities based off a illegal immigrant population, which is cheating the system and also diminishing our congressional representation in Congress. We are citizens of the United States, but our congressional representation is working for an illegal immigrant population. Now, that's a direct violation of the Constitution and direct conflict to our interests as United States citizens. But they're going to continue this practice as long as the regular, everyday folk do not understand. Whoever you allowed to be counted on that census is going to directly affect your congressional representation. Okay, so let me see if she has anything more else to say, because these people are diabolical. Let's go.
Undercount by 6 million people. Now, the Census Bureau says it needs a ruling by June so it can start printing those paper census forms. Jan, how much is that deadline weighing on the court?
Well, I think because they were able to schedule these arguments in April, it won't be a factor at all. Because, as you know, from talking about these cases over the years, they do their most contentious and controversial cases. They always are at the end of the term, but that's in June. So I fully expect a decision to be by the end of the term in June. They're not going to take this into July or August, and that'll give them plenty of time to put this in the census if the court says it's permissible. But I've got to tell you, based on the arguments today, I think it's pretty clear you're going to have a 5-4 split with the 5 conservatives saying that this is okay. Other countries do it. Canada, Mexico, they all have questions about citizenship in their census. And for a long time, the U.S. asked this question in its census or survey materials.
All right.
Very interesting. Why would a country not want to count their citizens? Okay, folks, these people, when you think it's bad, it only gets worse. All right. And so, so I'm going to leave that there with the audio, because I put it out there for my people. I put it out there. I need you guys to pay attention. Okay, so now let's talk about this. When you add illegal immigrants, and this is particularly towards for all communities, but I'm going to speak to the Black community specifically. By them, the Democrat Party played the Black community the best. I mean, they played the Black community. Now, they have all these illegal immigrants in the Black community, which is somehow appearing up, showing up on a census as if Black people had a baby boom. The Black citizens did not have a baby boom. It's a bunch of illegal immigrants being counted along with us on the US Census. So in return, the illegal immigrants population is drawing and being placed on the census, and is gifting the Democrats additional congressional seats. See, there's a limited number of congressional seats available. So each state divides it based on their population. New York City, for example, has been showing this boom in population, but in reality, the population is based off illegal immigrants and non-citizens, people here on the tourists, as a tourist, people passing through. So the numbers are not truthful and honest. So New York City, under the disguise of Black people, they showing all of this numerous population, and so they're getting these additional congressional seats. And so what they need is they have this. When they do things like this, when they add illegal immigrants to the census, what they did was disconnect the constituents from the voters. They have a large constituency, which is mostly made up of illegal immigrants, and they have a few, and the illegal immigrants cannot vote, not legally. And then they have the small number of Black voters that are actual U.S. citizens in the area. So what they did was, all they need is that few Black voters, because the Black people are outnumbered in their communities. They're outnumbered by the illegal immigrants. But all they need is those few voters to come out and vote for a Democrat, and they keep that congressional seat that they basically stole from the other state. So the illegal immigrants are their constituency, but the Black people, here they come, old faithful, voting for the Democrat, keeps them in office. So what happens? You vote for the person, you Black, you vote for the congressperson, and what do? They go right to work for the illegal immigrants, because the illegal immigrants are their constituency. But you are probably too slow or too dumb to know that. That's why your vote does not benefit you, because your vote and the constituency is disconnected. You're not their constituents. You're just the suckers that vote for them. They have outnumbered you and outmanned you in your communities. And I'm not trying to talk mean. I'm just keeping it real. That's what they did. Flooding all those illegal immigrants in your community, pushing them in your school, raising the taxes on you, okay? Adding them to the census so they can collect congressional seats. And then here you come along, because you old faithful, like an old faithful dog. You're keeping the people that work for the illegal immigrants in power. Your vote is not benefiting you. And that is why people like myself, others, is warning Black people, stop voting Democrat. You're only empowering the illegal immigrants. The illegal immigrants are their constituency because they put them down on the census. You're not the constituents. I don't care if you have the right to vote. Your vote means nothing if you're not the constituents. Your vote means nothing. That's why what they're doing is wrong. Because the voters are supposed to be the constituents and no one else. But by them adding illegal immigrants to the census, they change the demographics of the constituents. They change the population that they work for. And they're not working for you, Black people. The Democrat Party is not working for you. If you walk outside your door and it's a whole array of foreign people, that's who they're working for. They're not working for you. Your community doesn't even look like you. And you're Black. The stores. You don't own the stores. Black people don't own the stores in their community. And it's time to wake up. It's time to listen. Turn off the mainstream media. They are propagandists. You need to listen to patriots like myself and other people that's in the fight. Pay attention, be aware, be a conscious voter, and do not vote for the Democrat Party. They have replaced you in your community, and they're just using you for your vote to keep them in power so they can work for another group of people. They're not working for you. You only vote for people that works for you. And the Democrat Party is not working for you. And that's why the Asians got the hate crime bill. Because Asians are here illegally. But they understand we fill out the census, and now all the Congress representation works for them. Whoever's counted on the census gets congressional representation. That's why what they're doing is so diabolical and so wrong and so undermining of the US citizen. The illegal immigrants is very political. They were political when they filled out the US Census. That's why they got so much power. That is why the politicians have no desire. As long as the American people let the congressional candidates, the congressional members, count illegal immigrants and non-citizens on the census, they will not deport anybody. They will not deport no illegal immigrant because now they work for them. You allow the illegal immigrants and non-citizens to be counted on the census. You just gave them congressional representation without even voting. They don't even need to vote. They got the suckers, the black people, to come vote for their candidates anyway. So they don't need to vote. They still get congressional representation because they filled out the census. And it's time for people to get quick with it because we are going to be really done for. And Joe Biden is doing a great job getting the Democrat Party new constituents because his plan is to flood the zone with illegal immigrants and count them on the census. That's the plan for 2030. Joe Biden's plan is in motion right now, and you're watching it live on television. He is getting these people in. He doesn't care if they're illegal, and he's going to count them on the census unless we stop them today. We have to win in 2024. We have to vote for Trump. And we have to win 2024 in order to save 2030 census. That's what it's all about. It's not a coincidence that states purposely omit whether or not the birth parents are citizens on the birth certificate. Another way they've been adding to their population rolls by using the children of illegal immigrants and claiming that they're citizens so they can collect more congressional seats. It's a win-win situation. And along with those congressional seats is electoral college votes that each state receives. So they have a higher chance of winning the presidency with their illegal immigrants. American citizens are competing with illegal immigrants for representation. But if we don't stop them at the census, we're going to lose. We are losing because we're paying attention to votes, we're paying attention to election. What we need to pay attention is at the heart of it is that US Census. And to reiterate my point, I'm going to let AOC do all the talking because she likes to talk a lot. AOC is going to explain to you what the census is and how it benefits her as a congressperson to have the illegal immigrants counted. Hold up, let me pause it. And we're going to get right into it. Listen to AOC explain to you what she's paying attention to. Listen.
We know that the census happens once every 10 years. It is mandated by the Constitution. It determines our federal representation, and it also determines our funding. So if people are not counted, our community will get less representation than we deserve. And not just on the congressional level, but on state level, on the city level, we will get less representation. And what does that also mean? It means less votes and less congressional support, less state legislature support for the priorities that we have in our community. So don't forget your babies. I think sometimes people, we fill out the census, kids are people too. And so sometimes in the rush of it, we rattle off how many adults are in the room. But your children are also a family member, and they are a person to be counted. If you had a baby and the next day you got the census, count your baby. It's just an easy thing sometimes for us to slip. So, but children under 5 are very often undercounted, and it's really important for our schooling numbers as well. So don't forget your babies. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You heard it there, folks. She said we're going to get less than we deserve. No, what's happening is the Democrat Party is getting more congressional seats than they deserve with their legal immigrant population. That's why they have no plans to deport them. Okay? And black people, your vote does not benefit you at all. Because in your neighborhood, you're outnumbered. You're outnumbered on the census. So you can vote for the Democrats. They're only going to work for the illegal immigrants. You can knock yourself out, vote for the Democrats. You can vote for them all day long. I guarantee they will not give you no bill and no pay. They don't pay you no attention because you diminish your citizenship when you allowed the illegal immigrants to flood your community and fill out the census and didn't say nothing about it. But hopefully, this message will get out there well in advance before 2030 because the battle is on for 2030. I've already moved past 2024. We need Trump in that office if we're lucky. If we don't get Trump in that office, this country is doomed. He is the only one with the courage to stand up to the Democrats and to stop the fraud and protecting the citizens of the United States. That is why they're trying to arrest him because he is in the way. Just like he said, he's in the way. They're after us. We are their target. So anyway, that's it for TJ Speaks. I hope this message gets to you in a safe and peaceful existence. Take care. Bye-bye.